I wasn't trying to die. But I needed something to remind me I was alive. The rooftop was silent, except for the hum of city lights far below. The wind didn't bite, it whispered, as if unsure whether to push me forward or pull me back. I wasn't standing on the edge because I wanted to jump. I just wanted to feel something. After months of going through the motions, smiling at meetings, nodding in relationships that barely brushed the surface, I wanted to remember what adrenaline felt like. The air smelled of rain, though the sky hadn't opened up yet. Below, my coworkers were still clinking glasses and pretending to love their lives. I closed my eyes. "Don't move," a voice said behind me. "Not yet." I turned, fast. There hadn't been anyone there. Not even a sound of a door. But now, a man stood just a few feet away. He was tall. Dark coat, black boots, the kind of face you'd expect to see in an art book, not real life. His hair was black, slightly windswept. But it was his eyes that struck me cold. They were the color of charcoal, with a flicker of gold, like a dying star refusing to go out. "Who are you?" I asked. "I won't hurt you," he said. "But you shouldn't be up here. Not tonight." "I'm not going to jump," I said, annoyed by his assumption. "I'm just breathing." "That's not what your soul is doing." I blinked. "Excuse me?" He stepped closer, slowly, like approaching a wild animal. "You don't feel it, do you? The weight, the silence inside you. Something is missing." My hands clenched at my sides. "You don't know anything about me." "I know your name is Kara," he said. That froze me. "I know you've been trying to outrun a shadow you can't name. I know this rooftop isn't the first place you've gone looking for the edge." My throat tightened. My first instinct was to scream or run, but I didn't. Something about him felt familiar, like a tune I couldn't place, but that still made my chest ache. "Who are you?" I whispered. His expression shifted, softened. "You'll remember me." "Just not yet." Then he reached out. And the second his fingers brushed mine, I couldn't breathe. It wasn't pain, it was a sudden flood of sensation, warmth, cold, regret, love. Everything I'd buried inside myself came rushing back in a single pulse. And then, he kissed me. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't soft. It was like lightning through my veins. His lips touched mine, but it felt like he was diving into my chest, pulling something dark and heavy out of me. I gasped against him. His hand pressed gently to my jaw, holding me still. I wanted to scream or melt or cry, but I couldn't move. I saw flashes. A fire. My own face, twisted in fear. His hand, reaching through flame. A whisper. "Don't go." And then, nothing. I woke up lying on the cold rooftop gravel. Alone. The sky had shifted. Dawn was creeping along the horizon. My lips still tingled. My heart thudded like I'd run a marathon. There was no sign of him. No trace he'd ever been there. Except for the faint warmth lingering in my chest. And a single, perfect golden thread clinging to the sleeve of my coat. I didn't remember how I got here. But one thing was certain, that was not a dream. And I had no idea what he'd taken from me. The mirror over the agency's restroom sink was too clean. Too honest. I stared at it longer than I meant to. My reflection stared back. Same brown eyes, same black blouse I always wore when I didn't feel like trying. And yet, there was something off. Like I wasn't quite in my body. As if I blinked a second too late, or the version of me in the mirror blinked before I did. I splashed cold water on my face. "Get a grip, Kara." It had been 3 days since the rooftop. I'd convinced myself it was a hallucination, brought on by stress, champagne, and a panic attack I didn't want to name. There was no man. No kiss. No warmth in my chest that still pulsed when I closed my eyes at night. Except there was. And every time I walked past a mirror since, it felt like someone else was staring back. The office buzzed with fake enthusiasm and caffeine. Our agency, Trove, was all glass and industrial charm, the kind of place that looked amazing on a brochure but gave you anxiety after 10 minutes of sitting under the skylights. Naomi popped her head over my partition wall with her usual deadpan expression and a paper cup in hand. "I bring you overpriced liquid capitalism." I took the coffee and groaned. "Bless you." She studied me for a second. You look like a ghost. And not the sexy Victorian kind. I didn't sleep well. You never sleep well. This is new level undead. She squinted at me. Are you about to tell me you met someone? Or saw a ghost? You've got that face? I didn't meet anyone, I said too quickly. And ghosts aren't real. Naomi narrowed her eyes. Aha. Before she could launch into one of her psychoanalysis specials, my inbox pinged. A new client briefing had landed in the creative team folder. Subject line, Black Ember Fragrances, VIP meeting today. I have a client meeting in 15, I said, standing up too fast and nearly spilling my coffee. Gotta go. Naomi called after me. If he's hot, take a picture. I need motivation. The conference room was all glass and silence. I set up the mood board on the big screen. Amber tones, smoky bottle mock-ups, poetic scent descriptors. A line of minimalist perfume vials sat along the table, untested. The door opened behind me, and I froze. Jaden walked in like he belonged there. In a slate gray suit this time, clean lines, no shadow of that rooftop coat. His hair was tied back neatly, his eyes unreadable. He didn't blink. Miss Morgan? My voice caught in my throat. He extended a hand. Jaden Alaric. I'm consulting for Black Ember on product strategy. I shook his hand automatically, cold spreading through my chest. He gripped just firmly enough, not too soft, not too strong. His expression was perfectly blank. No recognition, none. You're with Black Ember? I managed. He nodded. We're finalizing launch visuals. I heard your team was the best. I stared at him. Was this a game? Was I going insane? You look familiar, I blurted. He tilted his head, politely curious. I don't believe we've met, though I do get that a lot. I forced a laugh. Right. My mistake. He sat down. We started talking scent profiles, visual mood, distribution channels, just like any other client. But every time he leaned forward, every time he looked at me with those dark gold eyes, I remembered how they looked glowing in the night. I remembered the kiss, the warmth, the pull. He was pretending, and he was good at it. An hour later, I fled to the elevator. My hands were shaking. I pressed the button 3 times harder than necessary. Naomi caught me before the doors closed. She looked at me, then looked past me down the hall. Is that him? I blinked. What? The guy in the meeting room, tall, broody, unfairly perfect jawline. She leaned in. You're pale as chalk. Either he's a vampire or your libido just rebooted. I stared at her. She grinned. So, vampire then? I shook my head and whispered, he doesn't remember me. Naomi frowned, her smile fading. Wait, what? 3 nights ago I saw him, on a rooftop. He kissed me, saved me. I don't know how to explain it. I thought I dreamed it. But now he's here, acting like we've never met. Naomi's eyes narrowed. Okay. Either you're having a full psychotic break, unlikely, or this is some next-level gaslighting. I don't know what this is, I whispered. But it's real. She glanced toward the conference room, then back at me. You need answers, Kara. And I'm not letting you chase this ghost alone. The cafe was too warm, too charming for how tense I felt. Sunlight slanted through tall stained glass windows, casting jewel-toned shadows across the table. Outside, New York moved fast, but inside, it was like time had agreed to slow down for once. Jaden stirred his tea like he'd done it 1,000 times, but I doubted he ever drank it. We were supposed to be discussing Black Ember's mood film concept. Instead, we sat in silence, staring at visuals on my tablet while my skin tingled just from sitting across from him. He finally spoke. You like things that look broken, but are secretly beautiful. My eyes lifted to his. What? He pointed to one of my images, a fractured mirror catching light in a way that made it look like a stained glass window. All of these, he said softly, they're about ruin and rebirth. Things that almost weren't saved. I laughed under my breath. Maybe that's just good design. Maybe, he said. Or maybe it's you. I should have been annoyed at how intimate that sounded. But I wasn't. Instead, a chill ran down my arms, and my chest felt too tight. You say things like you've known me forever, I said. He tilted his head. And if I had? The air between us stretched thin. My heart thudded once. Hard. I looked away. We should stick to work. Jaden leaned back, nodding. Of course. But for the rest of the meeting, he didn't take his eyes off me. And every time I glanced up, I felt like I was looking at a dream I should have remembered but couldn't. That night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, the sheets twisted around my legs like ivy. Sometime around 3 a.m., I finally drifted off, and the dream came. Jaden stood in a field of smoke, his coat flaring behind him like wings made of shadow. Around him, a melody played, a soft, distant piano. Every note tugged at something inside me I didn't know I'd buried. He turned to me, eyes glowing gold. "Kara," he said, like a prayer. "Don't forget again." Flames rose around him, licking at his ankles. I tried to run to him, but the ground cracked beneath my feet, splitting open into blackness. His voice followed me as I fell. "You promised." I jolted awake, sweat slicking my back, my hands clenched in the sheets. Music still played. It took me a second to realize it wasn't coming from the dream. My phone, on the nightstand, was softly playing a piano piece I didn't remember downloading. My hand trembled as I shut it off. I didn't go back to sleep. The next morning, Naomi practically ambushed me in the office kitchen. "Okay, we're doing this now," she said, grabbing my elbow and dragging me to a quiet corner behind the supply shelf. "I had a dream," I whispered. "He was there, Jaden, and there was fire, and he said I promised something." Naomi's face shifted from sarcastic concern to quiet seriousness. "That's the third night in a row, isn't it?" I nodded. "Okay," she said, rubbing her temples. "Look, I've been reading up. There's a condition. Complex dissociation. Trauma loops. Your brain could be manufacturing familiarity with him because of unresolved stress." "I've had trauma before," I said, voice hoarse. "It never felt like this." Naomi hesitated. "I'm not saying you're crazy. I'm saying your body might remember something you've forgotten. Or," her voice dropped lower, "someone doesn't want you to remember." I blinked. "You believe me?" "I believe something's happening," she said. "And I believe you don't look like someone imagining things. You look haunted." She handed me a small notebook. "Write everything down. Dreams, memories, words he says that sound wrong." I clutched the notebook like a lifeline. "And, Kara?" she said, tilting her head. "Don't be alone with him again. Not until you're sure." Across the city, in a quiet apartment lit only by a single desk lamp, Jaden sat with his head in his hands. He looked almost human like this, almost tired. But his reflection in the dark window said otherwise. Behind him, in the farthest shadow of the room, something moved. A shape. Black and slow and coiled like smoke. Its edges flickered like burnt paper. "You touched her again," it hissed. Jaden didn't move. "It was necessary. She remembers. She needs to." The thing stepped closer, an outline with no form. "She carries the mark. You break the seal and she dies. You know that." Jaden stood then, not slowly, not dramatically, just rose, like the air around him shifted in deference. "She won't die," he said. The shadow paused. "You sound like a man. Are you forgetting what you are?" Jaden turned, eyes like smoldering embers. "No. I remember everything." His voice lowered. "Especially her." The bookstore smelled like old paper and dried lavender. I'd come in for nothing in particular, just a break from the world. A quiet place to hide. The bell above the door jingled softly as someone entered. I didn't look up right away. "Still haunting the classic section, huh?" My stomach twisted. That voice. I knew it too well. Too smooth. Too amused. Too dangerous. I turned slowly. Lucas stood there, looking like time had decided to be kind to him. Pressed gray coat, navy scarf, hair perfectly in place. His smile was the same, half genuine, half performance. "Hi, Kara," he said, like we hadn't scorched the earth between us the last time we spoke. I gripped the book in my hand tighter. "Didn't expect to see you here. You never expect the past," he said, stepping closer. "But it always finds you." His presence hit me like smoke. Unwelcome, thick, hard to breathe through. But worse than that was the heat blooming in my chest. Not emotional. physical. It burned. I'm kind of in the middle of something, I said. Come on, he coaxed. Just 5 minutes, a coffee. We'll talk like civilized adults. I didn't want to. God, I didn't. But my feet moved anyway. The alley beside the bookstore was narrow, quiet, tucked between buildings like a secret. Lucas leaned against the brick, hands in his pockets like we were still 24 and playing house. I saw your name on a campaign last month, he said. Still killing it. I try. You look tired. You look the same, I said flatly. He chuckled. You always could cut through the crap. Something in his eyes shifted, an edge under the smile. You never let me explain, Kara. I didn't need you to, I snapped. He stepped closer. Too close. My chest flared with heat again, like coals catching wind. I took a step back. His expression turned curious. You all right? I'm fine. He reached out, just fingertips brushing my wrist. The pain was instant. I gasped and staggered back, clutching my side like I'd been stabbed. The skin under my coat burned. Sweat prickled along my spine. Kara? Lucas frowned, trying to approach again. Don't. I breathed. Don't touch me. His hand froze in the air. I didn't wait. I turned and ran. Naomi nearly threw her coffee at me when I told her. You what? She hissed, dragging me into the back corner of our favorite diner. I didn't plan it, I said. He just appeared. And I didn't want a scene in the store. You promised, she seethed. After what he did to you, after what it took to get away, you said you were done. I was done, I whispered. But something's wrong. Naomi's expression softened just enough for worry to break through the anger. What do you mean? I slowly unbuttoned my coat and pulled my shirt aside. A red burn bloomed across my skin near my collarbone, angry, fresh, and shaped like a twisting crescent, almost like a brand. Naomi paled. That's not normal. I know. I paused. When he touched me, it hurt. Not emotionally, literally. Like he was setting me on fire. Naomi leaned forward, voice low. This is connected to Jaden. I know it. I think. I swallowed hard. I think Lucas left something in me. From before. A mark. I didn't realize it, but it's still there. Naomi's hands curled into fists on the table. And now it's waking up. That night, I collapsed into bed, exhausted. I didn't even undress, just curled up, holding my pillow, mind racing. Somewhere between midnight and dreams, a voice entered my head. Don't let him touch you again. Jaden. His voice wasn't loud. It didn't echo. It just arrived, like a thought that wasn't mine. I sat up, heart pounding. Jaden. I whispered into the darkness. Silence. But I knew. He was watching. Not in a creepy way. In a protective way. A tether had formed between us, and even if I didn't understand it, I could feel when it pulled tight. I pressed my palm over the burn, the shape of Lucas still glowing under my skin. Whatever he had done to me, it hadn't faded. And I had a sinking feeling it wasn't done with me yet. The rain had started without warning. It wasn't soft or romantic, just a steady cold downpour, cutting through the neon haze of the city like it had something to prove. I climbed the fire escape anyway, one trembling hand after another, until I reached the rooftop. The same rooftop. The one where I'd first seen him. Jaden was already there. He stood at the edge, unmoving, head bowed slightly like he was listening to something far below us. The skyline glittered behind him in fractured reflections. Blues, reds, whites, flickering like broken promises. Tell me the truth, I said, loud enough to cut through the rain. He didn't turn. You already know it. Not all of it. He was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, he faced me. His dark coat clung to his frame, soaked and heavy, but he looked as unbothered as ever. His eyes were shadowed. Why do I feel like I've known you forever? I asked, stepping closer. Why do I dream of you? Why does my body burn when my ex touches me? And why do I hear your voice in my head like you live there? Jaden's jaw tightened. Because I do. Lightning cracked above us, brief and violent. His face flashed pale, almost too perfect. What are you? I whispered. Jaden exhaled, and when he looked at me again, his eyes were glowing. Not a metaphor. literal, burning gold, like someone had lit a fire behind his pupils. I stumbled back. Jesus. No, he said quietly. Not quite. I blinked at him, heart pounding, mouth dry. This isn't real. It is, he said. And I'm sorry. I didn't want you to remember like this. You're not human, I said slowly. He gave a bitter half-smile. No. You're, what, a ghost? A fallen angel? A demon, he said simply. I was never meant to love you. I was only meant to erase what was killing you. The words hit me like a slap. Erase what? The mark, he said. What Lucas left behind. His touch. His obsession. It wasn't just emotional. He bound you to him, Kara. Not metaphorically, literally. Your soul was being drained. I shook my head. That's insane. Jaden stepped forward, slow, controlled. You were dying, Kara, not all at once, but pieces of you, your light, your will, yourself, were being eaten away. That's why you started sleepwalking. That's why you stopped drawing. Why everything you loved tasted like ash. My knees went weak. You came to this rooftop, he continued, voice low and aching, because something inside you wanted out. You didn't want to die. But part of you was already breaking. He raised his hand, not touching me, just hovering near my chest. I stepped in, he said. I broke the link. I took what was poisoning you and sealed it inside myself. And then what? My voice cracked. You disappeared. You let me think it was a dream. I had to, he said. The more you remembered me, the more the mark could regrow. Lucas left a back door. If you knew, you'd be vulnerable again. So why now? I asked. Why show up again? Why take the risk? Because it's coming back anyway, he said. Because he touched you. And I felt it. The burn on my collarbone ached, even under my coat. I was trying to protect you, Jaden said. I stared at him. His glowing eyes, his too steady stillness, the impossible grief in his voice. I should be terrified, I said. He looked down. You should, but I'm not. The rain slowed, softened around us like the city was holding its breath. I'm angry, I continued. I'm confused. But not scared. You've never made me feel unsafe, not once. Jaden looked up, startled. And that scares me more than anything, I said. Because why do I feel safer with a demon than I ever did with the man I loved? Jaden's face cracked, not in anger but in pain. Because I never wanted to own you, he said. Only save you. Tears burned at the edges of my vision, blending with the rain. I don't know what this is, I whispered. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with you, or what the hell happens next. Jaden nodded once, solemnly. Neither do I. We stood there for what felt like forever, the sound of traffic distant, the world holding back just for us. Then I turned and walked away. Not because I didn't believe him, but because the truth had cut me too deep, and I needed to know where I ended and he began. The dream didn't feel like a dream at all. It began with the scent of pine wood and something sweeter. Vanilla, maybe. The hallway was dim, shadows stretching across the floor like fingers. I knew this place. Knew it with a part of me that recoiled just stepping inside. My old house. The one I left the night everything broke. I moved through the space like I was underwater. Each footstep echoed louder than it should have. I turned the corner, and there he was. Lucas? He stood in the middle of the living room, sleeves rolled to his elbows, eyes glassy with something between rage and heartbreak. The air felt thick, humming. You lied to me, he said, quietly. My mouth moved but no sound came out. You let me love you, and all you gave me back was silence. His voice grew sharper. You left, Kara. You made me empty. I tried to back away, but my feet were stuck. He stepped closer, faster now. His hands gripped my arms, too hard. I gave you everything, he growled. And you broke me. Behind him, the curtains fluttered. Then, caught fire. At first it was just a spark. Then a roar. The flames spread across the walls like they'd been waiting for permission. I screamed, but it came out strangled. The fire licked at the ceiling. Smoke coiled down like claws. Lucas didn't flinch. If I can't have you, no one will. The heat surged. And then? A hand reached through the flame. Strong. Sure. Familiar. Jaden. Don't let go, Kara, he said, voice firm, eyes glowing with light that cut through the fire like a blade. Come with me. I reached for him, my skin blistering, my vision blurring. Lucas snarled, holding me tighter. She's mine. But I broke free. I grabbed Jaden's hand, and the world shattered. I woke up choking on air, sheets tangled around my body like vines. My heart was racing, my skin slick with sweat, and my shoulder burned. I rushed to the bathroom, flipped on the light, and pulled my shirt down. There it was. A red, angry mark on my skin. Not just a rash, an actual burn, shaped like a crescent flame. Still warm to the touch. I backed away from the mirror, breathing hard. This wasn't psychological. This wasn't in my head. This was real. Naomi stared at the burn in silence, then slowly set her coffee cup down like it might explode. You're not making this up, she said finally. I told you. She knelt beside me, examining the mark with clinical focus. This is too specific, too deliberate. I saw him, I whispered. Lucas. In the dream. He was hurting me. The house caught fire, and Jaden. He pulled me out. Just like he said he did before. Naomi stood, pacing now. I've been reading. Not the psychology books, older things. Pre-modern theology, mystic texts. Contracts of binding. There's this concept. It's called soul brand in old lore. Sounds cozy? Naomi shot me a look. It's not. It's when someone links their essence to yours, voluntarily or by force. It's hard to do. Harder to break. And Lucas did that to me? I asked. From everything you've described, yes. That's what Jaden's been trying to undo. I sat down slowly on the couch. My legs didn't feel like they belonged to me anymore. Naomi came and sat beside me. Kara, this burn? It's not psychosomatic. I've cross-referenced 3 sources. You're carrying the echo of a demonic imprint. It's ancient, and it doesn't fade just because time passes. I stared at the floor, the words falling into place like a broken puzzle finally snapping together. I'm not just someone who dated a manipulative ex, I murmured. I was claimed. Naomi nodded. And now you're waking up, spiritually, energetically. Whatever you want to call it, your body remembers. So, what am I? I asked, my voice barely audible. Am I human? Naomi was quiet for a long time. Then, I think you're still you, but I think something touched you back then, and changed you. She looked at me, expression raw. And Jaden? He's not here to hurt you. He's the only thing that's been keeping you alive. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, the burn throbbing like a heartbeat that wasn't mine. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't cursed. I was marked. And somewhere deep down, I wasn't afraid of Jaden anymore. I was afraid of what I might be. Without him. Jaden was gone. 2 days. No calls. No messages. No cryptic appearances in doorways or dreams. The silence was louder than any warning. I checked his name on every platform. Nothing. I went to the Black Amber office. No record of him ever working with them. Like he'd vanished. Or never existed at all. Something's wrong, I told Naomi, pacing her living room like a caged thing. He wouldn't just disappear. Naomi pulled out the old map she'd found in one of her esoteric research forums. Okay, she said. This might be completely crazy, but if what you and Jaden said is true, if you're marked, and there are energy ties between souls, then this might help. She spread the map across the coffee table. It was yellowed and brittle, lined with unfamiliar symbols, cities, and shimmering ley lines that curved like rivers of light. New York was marked, faintly, but pulsing. There, Naomi pointed. That symbol matches the one in your dream. The fire mark. It pointed to a place near the edge of the city, not a public building, not a church, a private residence, a name etched faintly in the margin. L. Ashbourne. My blood ran cold. Lucas? I whispered. The Ashbourne estate was older than it had any right to be. Tucked behind high wrought iron gates and hidden by overgrown hedges, it looked like something out of a Gothic novel. Towering windows, stone lions at the steps, ivy that clung to every inch like the house didn't want to be seen. I walked up the path alone. The mark on my shoulder throbbed the closer I got. The door creaked open before I knocked. He was waiting for me. "Welcome home," Lucas said with that familiar razor-edged smile. This was never my home. He stepped aside. "Still dramatic, I see." I entered slowly, eyes scanning everything. The inside was warm, too warm, like the fire had never gone out. "You've been looking for him," Lucas said, leading me through a hallway of candlelight and shadows. "Where is he?" I asked. "Gone. For now." My hands clenched into fists. "I told you once," he said softly. "You and I are connected. That hasn't changed." I broke the connection. "You delayed it," he corrected. "Jaden took the wound, but the tether never snapped." He stopped walking, turned to face me. "I can end it for good," he said. My breath caught. "What?" "The mark, the pain, the pull between you and him. I can sever it." I stared at him, heartbeat like thunder. "Why would you do that?" He stepped closer. "Because I want you back." I laughed. Bitter, hollow. "You don't want me. You want ownership." "I want what we were." "You broke what we were," I snapped. Lucas's smile faded. "You always saw the worst in me. Jaden won't protect you forever. He's fading. He's not like you, Kara. He's bound by rules. I'm not." I felt the weight of those words settle deep in my chest. "And if I say no?" I asked. He studied me. "You'll keep burning, piece by piece, until there's nothing left." The room dimmed. I felt it, the pressure, like something ancient and angry coiling beneath the floorboards. "Here's the deal," Lucas said. "Stay here. With me, no illusions, no tricks. I won't touch your soul again. I'll sever the mark. You'll be free." My mouth was dry. "But trapped?" "You'll be safe." "No," I said. "I'll be owned. Again." I took a step back. "You took everything from me," I said, voice shaking. "My art, my breath, my sense of self. You don't get to rewrite me again." His jaw tightened. "Then you're choosing him?" "I'm choosing me." The pain in my chest flared sharp, but I didn't fall. I turned and walked away. Down the hallway, past the candles. Through the door. Lucas didn't follow, but I knew he was watching. And for the first time, I didn't care. Outside, the air felt cleaner, colder. I could barely breathe, but I was breathing for myself. Naomi texted the moment I got back into the city. I felt it. Something snapped. "Are you okay?" I stared at her words. No, but I would be. Because I chose my soul over survival. And that, I realized, was the first real act of freedom I'd ever made. The park was almost forgotten by the city. It clung to the edge of the map, where the noise faded and the skyline broke into open silence. Trees bowed over an old lake that never quite reflected anything clearly. The moonlight trembled on the water, like it was afraid of what it might reveal. And he was there. Jaden stood beneath the skeletal limbs of an ash tree, his back to me, eyes fixed on the lake like he was waiting for something to rise from it. "Jaden," I said, breath catching in my throat. He didn't turn. "I found you," I whispered. "I wasn't hiding," he said. His voice was low, hoarse, not really. I stepped closer, boots crunching wet leaves beneath me. "You left. You walked away. Because you broke me open," I said. "And I didn't know how to hold it." Now he turned. His eyes were dimmer than I remembered. Not glowing anymore, but still burning in their own way. I had to sever what was left of the tether. The last piece of the mark. It's anchored in me now, not you. He looked tired, hollow, like something inside him had already gone. "I can't stay in this form much longer," he said. "I used what I had to protect you." "But there's a cost." "No," I said. "Don't do that. Don't talk like it's already over." "It is." The wind moved between us, but neither of us flinched. "I'm going into the in-between," he said, "where no one remembers, no heaven, no hell, just nothing." "That's the price for breaking a soul mark." "No," I repeated. My voice shook. "You don't get to disappear again." "I made my choice, Kara." "Then let me make mine." He blinked, surprised. "If you're going to burn," I said, stepping into his space, chest to chest, "then let me burn with you." Jaden flinched. "Don't say that." "Why not?" Because I'm not worth saving. I grabbed his face, forced him to look at me. Then why did you save me? He looked at me like I was the last real thing in the world. Because you were always worth more than you knew. I kissed him. Not gently, not like the first time. This one was fire and memory, light and loss, and everything we hadn't said. My heart cracked wide, and I let it. Let all the pain, the longing, the love that had grown like vines around the wound, finally burst free. Light exploded between us. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Couldn't see. Only feel. The mark on my shoulder seared once, then faded. Jaden collapsed. Jaden. I caught him before he hit the ground. His body was limp, heavy, his skin cool to the touch. My hands shook as I pressed them against his chest. Come on, come back, I whispered, sobbing. Don't leave me now? Tears blurred my vision. I pressed my forehead to his. I'm not letting you go. Not after everything. And then, a heartbeat. Faint, then stronger. Jaden coughed, breath stuttering back into his lungs. His eyes fluttered open. No more gold. Just human brown. Soft. Alive. He blinked up at me, dazed. You kissed me. I laughed through tears. Yeah. And it saved your ass? He sat up slowly, groaning. I feel weird. You're breathing. That's weird enough. He looked at his hands. Touched his chest. I don't feel it anymore. The mark. The fire. It's gone. You're not a demon anymore. His eyes widened. Then what am I? I took his hand and placed it over my heart. Alive, I said. He stared at me. Quiet and still, like the moment was too big to move inside of. And then he smiled. A real one. No shadows. No secrets. Just him. And me. Under moonlight. Breathing the same air. Finally whole. The smell of coffee filled the apartment, rich, dark, comforting. The kind that made mornings feel like a promise instead of a chore. Sunlight spilled across the hardwood floor in slow golden ribbons. It danced through the open windows, brushing over old books, mismatched mugs, and a blanket half draped across the man sleeping on my couch, Jaden. He looked different now. Not just human, but peaceful. Like he finally belonged to the world he'd always hovered just outside of. His chest rose and fell with quiet rhythm. His face was softer in sleep, the weight he always carried in his expression finally gone. I flipped a pancake and smiled. The scar on my shoulder had faded into a whisper of heat. The ache in my soul, the confusion, the fear, the burning sense of being unfinished, was gone too. Not because everything made sense, but because he was here. A knock sounded at the door, sharp and familiar. I opened it without thinking. Naomi walked in holding her phone like it owed her money. You didn't answer my text. I thought maybe the demon came back to kidnap you. Technically, he's not a demon anymore, I said, grinning. She stepped inside, spotted Jaden asleep on the couch, and raised both brows. Oh, she said, voice dry. You always did go for the intense ones. I laughed. It's different this time. Is it? She asked, though her eyes softened. He let me choose, I said. No lies, no control. He gave up everything to set me free. Naomi walked over to the window, peered out at the street below. Cars passed, horns blared, people walked fast, late for somewhere. Just another ordinary Tuesday in New York. It's quiet here, she said, surprised. It is. She turned back to me. So what now? You two start a bakery? Join a cult? Become spiritual influencers? I snorted. I don't know. Maybe we just live. Naomi smiled, truly this time. That'd be new. She picked up a piece of toast and took a bite like she owned the place. He's lucky, you know. I glanced over at Jaden. His hand had shifted in sleep, reaching slightly toward where I stood. Even dreaming, he was still drawn to me. No, I said quietly. We're lucky. Both of us. Naomi nodded and gathered her bag. All right. Call me if he starts glowing again. Promise. She paused at the door. You look better, Kara. Like, you came back. I met her gaze. Maybe I did. After she left, I sat on the floor beside the couch, watching Jaden stir awake. His lashes fluttered, and he blinked at the ceiling like it surprised him to still be there. "Hey," I said gently. He turned toward me and smiled. "You're real." "So are you." Jaden reached out, fingers brushing mine. "I dreamed of fire," he murmured. "But this time, it didn't burn." "You're safe now," I whispered. He looked around, eyes adjusting to the quiet morning. "This is what it's like, huh?" "What?" "Being human." I nodded. "The good parts. And the hard parts. All of it." Jaden pulled me closer until I was curled up next to him, his arms warm and very much alive. "I don't know what I'm supposed to do now," he said, eyes closing again. "You don't have to do anything," I said, resting my head on his shoulder. "Just stay. We'll figure it out." He chuckled. "That sounds terrifying." I smiled. "It's just life." Outside, the city moved on. People ran late, spilled coffee, argued over parking spots. The world didn't know what had happened in the shadows. It didn't need to, because here in this apartment filled with sunlight and toast crumbs and second chances, something sacred had taken root. Maybe he saved my soul, but I saved his heart. That's love, isn't it?